AskReddit.
People of Reddit, what's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? I once helped out my female friend's family by taking care of their cat for a week. Every day for a week, I would go over there and snoop around their house. I found my friend's diary and proceeded to read the entire thing. I used this information to get her to like me, and she is currently my wife. Cousin died when we were both 17. There was a reception at his house just after the funeral. I went into his room and stole all the money that was there, took some other valuables that his parents wouldn't realize were gone. No one knows that I did it. They just assumed he didn't have any money in his room, only loose change. I don't regret it, but I will never admit I did it. I run a cake business. I charge people hundreds for wedding cakes. Every last one is made using Pillsbury cake mix I buy for $1 a box at Walmart. I suck at baking. Every time I've ever tried to make a cake from scratch it sucked. But baking is like my whole deal. My friends all call me the cake girl. It's like my whole life is a lie. People compliment my cakes all the time, telling me how delicious they are, telling me it's so much better than box mix cake, telling me they could never bake a cake so delicious. Well, guess what? For one, they too can make a cake just as delicious. Just add oil, eggs and water. In my defense, I love cake decorating. I make all of the frostings and fondant from scratch. I just hate baking effing cakes. I base my prices mostly on the decoration of the cakes and not of the cake itself, if that makes sense. Still, no one knows about this except my husband. Even my best friends think I effing slave over the oven mixing and baking these darn cakes. I have been doing this for years. If anyone knew, my business and reputation would be in the toilet for sure. I keep telling myself I have to learn how to make the darn cakes without the box mixes, but I never do it. I feel like such a sham sometimes. The cake. It's a lie. Everyone thinks I have a good job and roommates, but I've been homeless and a prostitute for over a year. First time telling anyone this. This thread is so deep that probably no one will see, but if one person does see it, I'll feel better. I am basically living a lie. I told my entire family I was able to transfer out of community college and into a university, but I never finished up the requirements. So since I live at home, every day instead of going to school I go to the local library and BS. My lies are so extensive, I even go to the campus and meet my girlfriend for lunch sometimes. I've made fake transcripts to show my family, and to make it look like I'm actually studying I go to MIT OpenCourseWare to look up facts that I learned in class that day. I have become a remarkable liar. I hope to be transferring in the fall, and then I look forward to living a normal life. Coming clean is not an option at this point. I have been pretending to be colorblind to everyone I have ever known, including my own parents, since I was in 3rd grade. I am now 28 years old. I even convinced an optometrist of it. Before your death, are you going to make your last words, fooled you? Bertha. You see that apple there? It's red. Dies. When I was 15 my parents were going through a divorce, my mom worked night shifts and my dad was living with a friend of his. One night my sister who was 19 at the time came home pretty drunk from a party. She was acting goofy and fell on the couch next to me. She started grabbing my leg and laughing and we started fondling. We ended up doing it right there. When we woke up the next day she had no recollection of the night before, so I just kept my mouth shut. Fast forward to when I'm 18. Sister is home from college and dad is over for a visit. They get into an argument, and in a fit of rage my dad announces how he has never forgiven her for the abortion she got when she was 19, and subsequently killing his grandchild. He's very religious. I then realize the baby she aborted was in fact mine, and as far as I know, I am the only one who knows since she has never mentioned that night. I accidentally killed 7 people. I put a rag into a new water heater exhaust to keep debris out and installed it in a rental. I get a call a week later, there's been an accident. I show up and there's a ton of EMS and police. They ask me where the gas shutter is, and I go down to shut the gas off and see the end of a rag I forgot sticking out of the top of the heater. Rip the rag out, shut the gas off and head upstairs only to be told all the tenants were dead. I drink all day now and sleep. It's killing me from the inside every single day, but if I say anything my family is ruined. We have a bunch of rental properties and we'd be shut down. I lit a tree on fire for kicks, and ended burning half a forest down and several homes went up in flames in the process. I wanted to say, I did that when I saw it on the news. I appreciate your anonymous internet honesty, but as a firefighter I gotta say F you. My great-uncle Jack used to live with my family. One day, he got drunk and had a bad fall that ended up causing him to bleed out. I ended up finding him. I was 14 at the time, and had never seen such an awful sight, and lost consciousness due to all the blood. When I eventually recovered, I called the ambulance and stayed with my uncle. He died in the back of the ambulance, holding my hand. No one knows about what happened to me, and if they did they would realize that I'm the reason he's dead. My mom died when I was 17, and when it comes up I use it to garner attention for myself. In reality, I never met her and she has never meant anything to me other than a name. I feel so empty. I pee in the sink. If God didn't want us to pee in sinks, he wouldn't have put them at D level. There was a girl who I had a crush on the moment I saw her on my college campus. She ended up dating a D-bag dude a few weeks later. I happened to end up sitting in a study room with him and a few mutual friends. He talked about how he didn't think she was that attractive and how he liked other girls. I wrote the girl an anonymous email using one of those websites telling her about the things I heard and how the guy was a D. She ended up breaking up with him after she found out he was cheating. The girl is now my girlfriend of 6 months. She has no idea and is sitting across from me in the library. I've never told anyone this before. When I was 17 I had an argument with my father and told him to F off. Later that evening he hung himself. Our argument was the last time he spoke to anyone in our family, and for that I feel a terrible amount of guilt for. Instead of him saying goodbye and I love you to my mom and brothers, he got told to F off before he went and killed himself. My punishment is to live the rest of my days in shame and guilt. He never left a note either. I cut off all contact with everyone I know. I moved to Kenya. I tell people a fake name and a fake background and have made it appear to my family that I died on boat trip in the Pacific. No, I am not joking. I am dead in the United States. I'm schizophrenic. It's not super bad, but I couldn't ever tell anyone for obvious reasons. I get by through passing off bits of it as odd or general eccentricity, and it doesn't really interfere with my life any more than those would anyway. I'll probably never get married though. Edit. Thank you everyone for your input. I haven't felt this open or connected in years. Going to bed. We'll check back tomorrow, then delete this account to free up the username. Not that it's likely to be needed, but I don't like waste. Again, thank you all. My daughter turns 5 next week. If anyone knew the truth behind her parentage, I could probably lose her forever. I grew up in foster care, never knew my parents or siblings. In my senior year, I met an older guy and we dated for almost a year, getting pregnant about 7 months in. One night while we were watching TV, the subject somehow came around to our real parents. He had been adopted as a young child. Turns out the man I was seeing, the father of my daughter, is my half-brother. We have the same mother. Our relationship didn't last, and he is not in her life, per his own choices. My daughter is extremely smart, beautiful, and well-rounded. She'll never know the truth. Her father and I made a pact to never tell her. I just hope she never needs a kidney or something. Edit. Keep reading about people who knowingly slept with relatives they grew up with. Is it bad that I feel slightly less horrible? I'm 20 and in college. I've got an imaginary mom who comes and visits me occasionally. My real mother is still alive, but she was emotionally abusive and I don't like thinking about her. Freud would have a field day with this ish. The story I tell is that my first kiss was 9 years ago, when I was 14, with my now fiancé. False. When I was 13, I babysat an 8-year-old boy. His parents were very open, and he was very sexual, where I caught him watching porn a couple of times. From the start, he was very aggressive, always grabbing me and trying to kiss me. After a while, oddly impressed with this new sort of attention, and very curious about kissing, one night we started making out. This became routine, and went on for probably almost a year, before I realized how horrific and wrong my actions were. I continued to babysit him for a while, but soon his parents stopped calling me. I've always wondered why. I'm terrified that I'll one day be exposed as a child molester. Too long, didn't read. As a 13-year-old girl, I frequently made out with an 8-year-old. I know this thread is most likely dead now, but I used to play with myself a lot. And when I was 10 I had a technique where I'd let off a load into a sock, then wash it and quickly dry it. Now I couldn't leave it hanging outside or use a dryer, otherwise my family would have seen it and probably smell it or whatnot. So I put it inside my gas heater unit. Unfortunately my sock had caught on fire inside the unit, blew it up and set my house on fire. Only my brother was home at the time, and he managed to survive. The house did not. For 5 years we stayed from caravan park to caravan park whilst we waited for confirmation that it was not our sin and we could receive an insurance payout. We eventually didn't scrape together money to start rebuilding the house. The house is still being rebuilt to this day, and it shames me anytime I have to visit my parents living in a tiny mobile home where my backyard once was. After graduating from high school, I went to a small out-of-state college where no one from high school knew me. I was told many times how impressive my false Australian accent was, so I decided it would be great fun to go through college pretending to be from Australia. All of my friends and even my girlfriend of 2 years think I'm Australian. I have a completely fake Australian identity, family, and past. I will soon be graduating, and I plan on asking the girl to marry me. Everything she knows about me is Australian. I don't know how to tell her she doesn't really know me. Guess I'm forever a bloke. Hate to break it to you, but you won't be marrying that girl unless it turns out she's actually from Australia and has been pretending to be American for 2 years. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed your daily dose of vitamin R. Also, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing.